Hello ICS students, Justin here. I'm going to do a quick video tutorial for you about how to record screen captures, at 1000 frames per second so you can analyze them at the millisecond level, how to analyze the audio you get from a screen capture, and how to de-identify or anonymize the audio that you get and make sure you're saving it in a GDPR-friendly kind of way on these school computers. So I have a brand new school computer in front of me, and I'm going to do everything right on there so it's going to match the way you would be doing it on the computer you're using. So the first thing I did this already, is I downloaded the first program we're using, OBS, which we're using for screen recording. So you can just Google OBS and you'll get obsproject.com/download, and you can download the Windows installer. So I already clicked that, I already installed it. It'll ask you a couple, would you like these certain settings as the default, so you can just hit OK on those. And if you go into settings, a couple other things you'll want to check when you first download it is, for output, make sure your encoder here says software X264. And your recording format, it can be FLV, it can be MP4. MP4 files are a little less secure, that if your computer dies while you're recording them, you'll lose your data, whereas an FLV file you will not. So I like to record an FLV, but you can pick your poison there. And one last thing you also want to check is, before you set anything up in OBS, you'll want to go down here to your NVIDIA settings, go into NVIDIA control panel, and it takes a minute to boot up. And you'll find in here 3D settings once it loads. Yeah, manage 3D settings, program settings. And you'll want to navigate to OBS. So it might appear in this list, or you can hit add. It might appear in this list, or if not, you can browse to it, and you'll want to find the program that's in this location. It ends in obs64.exe. Once you have that in there, in step 2, you just want to make sure it says integrated graphics in here rather than high performance or global settings. So integrated graphics, and then there should be a OK, save kind of button there. Hit that, and then restart OBS, just close it out and open it back up again. And then you're ready to go. So OBS can capture a lot of different things for you. Right now I have it capturing a video capture device. So down here in sources, I hit plus, and I first added video capture device, so that's capturing my camera. If you're not capturing participants' cameras, don't bother with that if you don't need it. Then you can capture, I'm using display capture, which means it's going to capture anything that's on my screen. But if I just wanted to capture, say, something in the browser or one specific program, I could use browser or window capture. But instead I hit display capture, OK, and now you can see it's like a capture within a capture within a capture. But as long as when you hit that, you see stuff here, like you see your own screen, then you're good to go. You would hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to record a video in 1000 frames per second so we can test that out, and I'll show you what you'll need to do to get that. So in settings here in video, you want to change common FPS value to fractional FPS value and put 1000 over 1. 1000 is the numerator, 1 is the denominator. Hit apply, hit OK. I can't do that while I'm recording this, but if you're capturing millisecond to millisecond data, you'll need it like that. And once that's all set up, you should be good to go. Audacity can capture a microphone, it can capture desktop audio. So if I was playing sound prompts through this computer, I could capture them here. If I was playing sound prompts through a Bluetooth speaker that was connected to this computer. I could also go into properties and pick the device that I'm using here. And I have my microphone plugged in and it's capturing from my microphone. And you can select which microphone if you have multiple microphones set up. But if you see this stuff bouncing here, that means you're getting audio. If you see stuff on the screen here, that means you're getting video. And it all should be good to go. And let me make sure I have this display capture gone. There we go. So yeah, once all that stuff's looking that way, everything should be good, and you can use the start recording button over here to record your participants. So I'm going to go record a 1000 FPS test video, and then we will try it out. All right, I'm back. I changed a couple of things, including, you'll probably notice the room that I'm in changed, so pardon the echo. I changed in OBS here in settings. So I did the fractional FPS value and recorded a very short 1000 FPS video that we'll be looking at in just a couple of minutes. But if you have any problems recording, you might have to change a couple of settings, including in, let's see. All right, here in output for the recording setting, I have the recording format as FLV. I left that alone. Any output format should work, but if you really prefer to work with something like an MP4 file, you can change that there. But this one's important right here, encoder. So I can't change these while it's recording, but I changed the encoder from hardware to software. Software X264 on the school laptops. So you'll probably want to change it to that. Or you might have some hardware encoder issues unless you have a lot of knowledge of this program and GPUs, then you can do what you like. So once those two things are set, you can also specify where these files should save, but I just left that alone for now as well. So now we have the ability to record a screen at 1000 frames per second. So we have, right now I have the display capture and video capture. I turned off video capture when I made the 1000 FPS video because I didn't want the participant's face to be recorded, in that case my own face to be recorded. So you can turn that off by just moving it down in the order or moving it back up. And that really just makes it hide behind the screen capture. So now that that's good, we can go ahead and download our other two programs that we'll need. So I want VLC player, and some of the computers might have them already, some might not. I got one fresh out of the box that did not. So I'm going to download VLC. That should start in just a second. There it is. So I'll hit save for VLC. And while that's downloading, I'll also grab Audacity. And all three of these are free open source programs. There's no paid versions to them. They're just the complete program for free and completely available. They should work on any kind of device. So here in Audacity, I find I'm on Windows, so the Audacity 2.3.2 installer, Windows installer, and I'll save that as well. So those two will download. I'll advise if you're using the student computers in ICS, make sure you run all of the updates that are available, like Windows updates and updating drivers and whatnot as they come up and ask you to do that, because it'll be annoying if those things try to happen while you're running a participant. So just make sure everything's all up to date and nothing's going to pop up at those times. So VLC, just accept. The benefit of VLC is it plays any kind of video format, including the FLV files that OBS is putting out. Audacity, we'll install that as well while VLC is installing. I should note, you can probably hear it right now, but OBS records both my microphone. If this wasn't plugged in, it would record the hardware microphone in the computer, and it records system output sounds. So if you're playing sounds through the computer that participants are using or through a Bluetooth speaker attached to that computer, it will record those sounds as well in case you're using timing data between the onset or end of a sound. So it looks like VLC is almost done. Audacity is done. There's VLC as well. So they're both used for similar things but slightly different. So VLC and Audacity both need one more piece before we're done. So we'll do Audacity first. In Audacity, you want to go to Edit, Preferences, and Libraries. And you'll notice it says there is an MP3 library. That means you can use MP3 files. There's no ffmpeg library, so you want to hit Download for that. And that'll open a new tab, Windows ffmpeg. And you can go to the external download page. It's a lot of links through wikis and all kinds of user-made stuff here, so bear with it a little bit. So that's for lame, but that was already installed. Here's for ffmpeg. I would go with the installer, the exe file. And I'll go ahead and run that. And for VLC, we need, let me just check if they're called. Yeah, so we need a plugin or extension. So we can go to right in this add-on manager. It might be a plugin actually. No, I think it's an add-on manager. I forget what it's called. Let me, oh, well, there's ffmpeg. And if you don't know the password for these school laptops, come ask myself or Claire or email one of us and we'll give you the password. I'm not going to put it up on this video. So I want to be able to go VLC frame by frame. Let me see what that is called in VLC. Yeah, it's in the advanced controls, but I want VLC milliseconds extension. There it is, time v3.2. So in here, I think if I just type time, no, I'll get it this way then. So if we go into time v3.2, again, it's that open source kind of stuff, so you have to just bear with the instructions here. So it says instructions, download the .lua file, the ext.lua and inf.lua, and copy them both into the Lua extensions areas. So let me grab this download. In program files, under video LAN, VLC, Lua, and then we got the extension file first, so we'll put Lua extension. And then we'll go get the other file. That was the INTF file. Just copy that. Go into this Lua folder in VLC. Go into INTF and paste that. All right, now I'm going to restart VLC player, so I'll quit, reopen VLC media player. Now we can open up the project that I had earlier, the little 1000 frame per second video I made. So open file, and I believe it saves in videos. It was this one. Yep. Oh no, it wasn't that at all. Open file, this one. All right, I'm back. I changed
that's weird.
a couple of things,
file
we're
including
currently
probably
creating.
noticed the room that I'm in
I don't want to be in there. So where did that save? I'll just do a new one right now. So I'm going to pause this video. All right, I'm back, and I made a video that we should be able to use to test the 1000 frame per second stuff. So I'll open VLC player one more time. And this time I'll open a file, this one. Test, test, test. Yep, this is the right file now. So now that the file's open, we can open up the time thing that we installed. So we just want to, it says please restart VLC for the changes to take effect. So let's close that one more time. Open up VLC. Open up time. And if we hit start on time now, and we hit play on our last video, now you can see in the top corner it shows you the number of frames we've been through, and it shows you the current time, but that's less important. But that means since we're recording at 1 frame per second and we have the number of frames, or 1000 frames per second, and we have the number of frames, we can now check which millisecond things happened. So if you right click anywhere on the bottom bar and hit View Advanced Controls, you get these all these additional controls, including frame by frame. So now, I must have missed, there we go. Now as I tap the frame by frame button, you can see it increment by 1 frame every time I tap. And that'll help us look for different events. So if I wanted to see at what moment I changed the screen from OBS to all this stuff, I would say I went right here, frame, 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 until I can see, and it's a little bit tedious. All right, so we're at 2,896 here. We'll go frame by frame up a bit. Sometimes it skips, it does drop frames, but right there we saw it seemed to have all the frames, and it looked like it changed between 2937 and 2938. So just as an example, if that's where we were measuring some kind of interruption lag, we could note that's where an event happened. We might write it down or put it in a spreadsheet or something, and we might be comparing that against an audio event. So let's see how we can use Audacity to look at that stuff. So we're done with that video for now, and we can open up Audacity. I will hit locate on ffmpeg. That's the thing we already got earlier, and now it's located it. So that means we can import any kind of file type. So I want to import audio from the video clip we just used, and you can see the waveforms there. That's indicating to us there is some audio in there. So we can use those same timestamps because the audio is synced to the video. We can zoom way in, and we said 2937 was our point of interest earlier. So we can go right over to 293, there's 2935, so we can go up to 2937, and I can even zoom in more until it shows us all of those increments there. So here's 2937. The audio records at probably at 44,000 hertz, that is to say 44,000 frames per second. There's no such thing as an audio frame, but recordings per second. So your audio is always going to be able to be measured at the millisecond time. Your video may or may not be, depending on whether you use the OBS stuff that I just showed you. If you're only looking to compare audio events, don't even bother with VLC. Just do it all right here in Audacity. If you're looking at video and audio, then you can go between them like we're doing now. So we found that spot that we wanted, and now we're just looking for where the audio starts after that spot, because in this run through, let's say I was looking at the lag between when I clicked over to the next window until I said the word test. Test, test, test. So you can see it goes really fast because we were so zoomed in. But if I go right back to where I was, it keeps your position, so I can keep hitting play from that point. I can put playback speed at like 0.07 now, so I can get test. I have to hit stop before that's in effect, and then hit the little play button here. So we saw the waveforms start over here, and it had that weird like whoop, 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 whoop sound. So that's probably the start of audio. It's flat, it's flat, it's flat, until a bit past here. You can see it too. So now you see it's not flat anymore. It's all wavy there. So you can say that's probably the start of audio where it's wavy. Let's see how far back it is that it was wavy like this. It sometimes helps to zoom out too. So we can probably see it starts right about here. Whoop, I don't know why it keeps selecting multiple things there. Let me actually hit select none, and we'll drag this. We'll stop that and then put a cursor right here because that's where it looks like audio starts. So if we say the audio starts right here, zoom in until you get your milliseconds, and it's 2988 and 2989, so you can just call it 2989 there, and that's how we would calculate our lag. So we would say it's that 2989 minus the 2939 there, so that would be a 50 millisecond lag, for example. So yeah, that's how you do that's how you use both video and audio together. Again, if you were using just audio, you can use only Audacity. It's probably a lot easier that way. And it's a lot higher fidelity because the audio records at a much higher frame rate and much less loss than video does. That has to do with the software and the computers we're using. So the last thing I want to show you is when we store this data, like when we store any audio data on school computers, we have to de-identify everything. So the way I do that is by pitch shifting. So I hit Control A to select all here, and I say change pitch. And when you change pitch for de-identifying stuff, you don't have to change it by that much. About 15% in either direction's fine. So let's do 15% pitched up. And it basically works right away for this small of a file. For a big file, it'll take longer, but this should sound pretty funny now. It'll be my voice, but pitch shifted way up, saying test, test, test.
Test, test, test.
And now you can see how it takes away the identity of the speaker that you wouldn't be able to tell that's my voice necessarily, but it's still intelligible because you only moved it a little bit. So you can still tell what they're saying for purposes of analysis. But now the identity has been removed, and you would want to save the audio in that format. So if you were saving it for an FLV file, I forget the exact file formats here, but you would probably want to export it. If we're just saving this after we do analysis, you can go ahead and export it as an MP3, for example, save it with whatever name you like, and then later on, go ahead and combine the video file with that audio file. So you would go into something like, all right, here's how you change the audio track in one of your video recordings to the pitch shifted version. So you can go in OBS, you go File, Remux Recordings, and then you can, so I just did one just to test it out, but you can come in here to OBS recording, select the recording you made. So I selected that one because that was the test one we were using. And you just hit Remux, and it will output that same video file as an MP4 rather than MKV. So you can skip this step if you just record everything as MP4, but MKVs are a little lighter size-wise, so pick your poison that way. So I have my MP4 file here, and I have my test data audio here as well. I'm actually going to go ahead and download a local copy of ffmpeg and try to do what we just did there. So let me download that. And I'll extract it all right into the videos folder. And I'm going to move ffmpeg from the bin folder in there right into videos itself. I'll go ahead and say run anyway. This is just to make sure it runs, and once it does, I'm going to go ahead and run that command line code again now that ffmpeg is in the same folder as these things. So let us see. Why don't we instead call this test.mp4. Let's, instead of that, just call it test, because I think its name is probably now test.mp4.mp4. So I'll go up here, rename this test.mp4, testaudio.mp3, no such file. So let's, because I called that test data, of course. You probably already caught all these little mistakes if you're watching. There we go, and we get a file called output here. And let's listen to what that sounds like. We can watch on VLC player.
Test, test, test.
Perfect. That's just what we wanted. It's the video from what we recorded earlier, the audio that we pitch shifted. That means we can get rid of these two videos and test data, the audio that we recorded from it. Go ahead and delete those to save some space. And because we want only the anonymized version, so we want only this output file, and we can go ahead and use the output file. So we already just tested that. It works great. So that's how to record screenshots, do a screen recording at 1,000 frames per second, how to look at frame by frame data using VLC, how to look at those same synchronized audio tracks using Audacity, how to pitch shift in Audacity, and then go all the way back to associate the video you took with the audio you just pitch shifted, and then saving just that final version. As you saw a couple of times, changing file names is helpful, just to make sure everything's easy to type and things like this. You'll probably want to maybe write in this folder, if this is the folder you're working on, maybe make a text document that has ffmpeg code, and then right in there, just save that, and then just know that each time you do this, you'll want to replace this line and this line with the actual names, and then you can also replace this. So if you wanted to call it like P113 or P112 or whatever, it would output exactly what you had with the participant's ID number. So something like that might be helpful, and then I would save that, but I'm not going to save it right now. But yeah, hopefully that is helpful in figuring out how to manage all of the data and collect all of the data you need for any of these screen recording, interruption lag, task completion time, resumption lag, reaction time kind of studies that we do in ICS. And if you have any more questions about it, feel free to email me.